So how was your Christmas and New Year's?
And not too bad, not too bad. Nice and quiet, the way I like it. Just
Yeah.
went over, spent it with family, my brother, his wife, and my little niece and nephew, and my mother was there as well. What about yourself?
Yeah. I drove up to my grand. She lives in Belfast. So
Ah, okay,
Mrs. and I went up there, spent some time with them. My aunt and my cousin came through to the house. My brother lives with my grand.
okay.
Yeah, so we just had Christmas together, and then we just came back the next day, and then New
Yeah,
Year's Eve, we just couched it, man. Watch
it's
Stranger
just
Things. Yeah.
no. I was in bed by 11 o'clock. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I mean, I
Yeah.
always like 10 o'clock. I'd usually be absolutely flat out by getting ready to go to bed by 9. So that was a big push to get me to 11.
Yeah.
But,
All right. And is that a normal New Year's Eve routine for you?
yeah, I don't do anything too crazy, unless I was going out somewhere specific or something. It wouldn't be my usual little routine. Us we're extreme creatures of habit, so
Yeah.
nothing wild.
Okay, awesome. Well, man, thank you for coming onto the podcast. I
I
appreciate
appreciate the
you
invite.
taking time out of your day to do this.
Appreciate the invite. Looking forward to hopefully
Awesome. All right.
spreading some knowledge
Yeah,
or whatever I can do.
awesome. So, are you all in coaching, or do you also compete as well?
I compete as well. I've competed the last 3 years. I've only started competing. Well, my first show was like 3 years ago. I did the muscle
Okay.
contest as a once off. You kind of when I was during my 20s and all. I'm not sure if you know my story. I was always bodybuilding since I was 17, 18. So 35 now. So essentially, kind of 18 years. But I kind of during my 20s was eating way too much, got way too fat. Kind of obese and got into a deeper hole. And then once I turned 30, I said, let's give this bodybuilding thing a go. I need to change something, right? Because I was deep in this kind of hole that you kind of slip into kind of mentally and stuff. And I just kind of one day kind of have you know, I got to do something here. So I set my sights on the bodybuilding show, which is muscle contest. And it was supposed to be just a once off, but once you know yourself, once you pop, it's hard to stop because there's always something. Oh, if I
Yeah.
did this, I would have been better or whatever. And it was just
Yeah.
a tremendous kind of emotional release as well that kind of got me back again. I've done, I think, seven or eight shows now, and every well, bar one, I've cried after. Just the emotion of it. It's not just the 16 weeks to get there, or the 20 weeks, or whatever it is. It's your whole kind of journey to get there, right? And that comes back, and
Yeah.
then especially if you haven't got something planned after it, it's like, what the hell do I do now? You know. So,
Yeah.
but my last one will be next year is the plan.
Okay. Okay. We'll get to that just now. I just
Mm,
want to touch on that. So when you got into it and you decided you were going to start competing, and
yeah.
you said that you had gained a lot of weight, were you already training at this time, or was it just like I needed life change here altogether?
I was always training. I was always bodybuilding training
Okay.
since I was like 17, 18. My brother used to bodybuild. My oldest brother used to bodybuild. So I started going to the gym with him. And then I loved it. And then I suppose you fall into the stereotype a little bit of being the big, strong guy, which I was, I was as strong as a house at the time. But then just was always kind of cognizant of like my nutrition and stuff, but it's eating way, way too much. And my body weight just went straight up. I think the heaviest I remember myself being was like 140 kilos on the scales.
Jesus.
But I never I wouldn't be the biggest fan of the scales at that weight. So it was never a regular thing to check out. So, yeah, but I suppose the vast majority of us start with some sort of a, kind of self-esteem issue or something, or like there's some deep rooted in our childhood or something that pushes us into the extremes of bodybuilding or want to, what Dorian Yates says is like putting on a armor. That's exactly what it is. So I just kind of got deeper and deeper into that then as I kind of went, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Okay. I wouldn't. Okay, for me, I wouldn't say mine was based on like a past issue or a traumatic issue. Mine, funny
Yeah.
enough, was just like I just wanted to look like Triple H from WWE.
Yeah, a lot of people always is the wrestling. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah,
big fan
yeah.
as
And then
well.
what had happened was I saw him on the front of a Muscle and Fitness magazine,
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh, cool. Let me see what's going on." And yeah, I'd never seen one of these bodybuilding magazines in my
yeah,
life. And then I started paging through it, and I'm seeing this whole nutrition and training program that they were talking about that he does and everything like that.
mm,
And then I flipped the page over and I saw Phil Heath, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Shit, I actually wanna look like that. That looks cool," you know, and
Yeah,
that's
it was
how my
wild.
bodybuilding journey started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long are you bodybuilding for?
Oh, flip, this is gonna be my 13th year now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
once it gets a grip of you, it's hard to get away from it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I've been reflecting on so much lately after my last show because, you know, if you don't know my story, I've the arthritis in the elbow, and I can only do one more season maximum anyway, right? So it's kind of giving me an end date. It's kind of, you know, forcing an end date on me, but in a way it's nice. It's a nice relief because that's like, okay, I can step away from this, you know, it doesn't, I never want bodybuilding to be my, you know, to be my identity or whatever. I consider it like, you know, 10th on my list of things. You know, I want to be, you know, a great uncle, a great partner, a great son, everything like that. Then someone goes, oh, there's Brian, he's the bodybuilder. Instead of just going straight, that's the
yeah.
bodybuilding guy, you know what I mean? So yeah, but I've been reflecting on it a lot because obviously if I have one more season left, that's why I said to you about like why do we all start this in the first place? So I've been reflecting on that and well, what's the need, you know, for the majority of people to be extreme as what bodybuilding is, like chasing perfection is pretty wild, right? And then the lengths we go to get there as well. So just, you know, yeah, just thinking about it so much.
Would you agree that the bodybuilding somehow has some sort of psychological effect on your physical appearance?
In what way? Like the way I kind of
Okay, so basically, like, even if you're a person that just got into bodybuilding for fun, you'll
mm,
eventually find that you become quite obsessive of how you look and kind of forget about other parts of your life, and your whole life ends up becoming about what you look like exactly.
yeah, of course it can. I think we all fall into our stereotype, right? You know, no matter how cognizant we are of it, everybody will fall into their, you know, he's a bodybuilder. He's just that's the hard thing, right? For people to walk away from it or people to be able to back down from, you know, you're the big bodybuilder guy. Like, how do you go back to being a relatively normal sized person or whatever when it does become
Yeah,
your identity, no matter how aware you are of it. So you know, you see it all the time with all these bodybuilders still going in their 50s and 60s, and some guys can do it fine, but there's some guys that are just absolutely chasing shadows and just really just obviously just shortening their lifespan, you know, especially in open bodybuilding,
yeah.
the extremes of it, you know, like that's what I always, another thing that I always say as well, Thomas, just be super um, aware of what your potential is and don't chase shadows. Like I know with my structure, like, you know, obviously an IFBB pro is a million miles away from what could I get there? Maybe in like a really, really weak show in like 4 or 5 years time of extreme pushing, you know, extreme pushing I think it's the body weight's the big thing that kills, you know, big open bodybuilders. You know, I'd have to be walking around kind of off season 300 pounds plus. Now, I don't know
Yeah.
whose heart can handle that for 5, 6 years, you know, even more for some guys just chasing shadows. So just be realistic about what your potential is, or else you're going to take years off your life. Or we already have, right? Because it is quite an extreme thing. Any kind of contest prep is extreme. But yeah, but just to be, another thing I hate is, you know, coaches kind of feeding people, kind of people's ego. You know, stick with me, give me 2 or 3 years, you'll be a pro. You have to be honest with people, or else you're, you know, the crash they have off it in 2 or 3 years and the damage they can do to their bodies, it's just shocking, you know.
That's fantastic, man. Actually, that's one good advice, and two, actually, to be that truthful about something. That's fantastic, I must say.
Yeah,
Just for the audience, okay, who don't know um you that well,
yeah.
what what actually caused the arthritis of the elbow?
Well, so I was always in construction. Only the last 2 years, last more or less 2 years, I've been kind of doing the coaching full time. I started off just doing a little bit of on the side with the construction, but I was in construction my whole life since I was a young lad, you know, 10, 11 years old, because our family has a little family business. So any chance I would get, you know, holidays are at and I'd be out with my dad uh, on sites and stuff, you know. So I went to college, did engineering, didn't get a job straight away. So I went back on the tools, was on the tools all the way up to COVID. And then I did a bit of a project management course, just an online thing, but you know, it's fake it till you make it type thing. I got a project management job
Yeah,
with a different company then, and then went into site management. I was a site manager before I packed it in for the coaching, you know. But anyway, I've gone completely off track. But I think it's about 4.5 years ago. I'm really bad at kind of trying to think about dates and stuff, but I think it's about 4.5 years ago now. It was summer, just the end of the summer, I think. and I fell directly on the elbow, so on the olecranon, the actual elbow bone or whatever the heck you would, you
Yeah.
know, think about it, you know. And at the time, of course, I whatever way I was on a roof, and I didn't protect myself at all with my other hand. I think my other hand was full or whatever, but fell full weight onto it. And at the time, I just assumed, hey, it's just a muscular thing or something, because I couldn't move it for maybe 2, 3 days. And then it started to get a little bit better, start to feel a little bit better. So never got it checked, you know, classic man thing. I'll be grand sure. Then started losing more range of motion as the osteophytes and stuff were you know, increasing in numbers and size and all that kind of thing. And then every physio I go to, they would just treat it as muscular, you know, or it's tendonitis or something, like, you know, some sort of tendinopathy. So that's what I believed in. That's what it was all the time, up until about 2 years ago, even less. I went and got an X-ray on it from Dr. Maloney, who's kind of well known as kind of like the top kind of elbow and kind of shoulder guy in Ireland. And straight away he goes, "Oh, this is arthritis. You know, it's osteoarthritis, and it's particularly bad. Like, before my he so I've had 2 surgeries now off Mr. Maloney, and my last diagnosis off him was after the surgery, which you see him for like maybe 2 minutes. The elbow is goosed, and you have stage 6 osteoarthritis, and there's only 4
Shit.
stages. You know, that was his that was his kind of joke. You know,
Yeah.
so it's yeah, it's just really really advanced. Before the first surgery, my range of motion was probably maybe 40 degrees. So I could at that time only extend it to say 40 degrees of straight, and then only come up into flexion of about 80 degrees or something like that. I look back at old training footage, and it's just unbelievable that the shortest range of motion. The first surgery, I went privately with Mr. Maloney, and he there was an incision from the elbow up on the back, but only to keyhole on the front. So he couldn't actually get in where he wanted to, you know, to clear out the elbow. So I actually didn't gain a whole lot of range of motion then. After, I knew by his tone after, he knew, like, I just fell into those, maybe, like, you know, say 3% of surgeries just don't go the way they want them to go. I fell into that
Yeah.
because he goes, look, if you're not happy with the amount of flexion we're after gaining, we can go again, but we'll go private this time. So I went into Tala Hospital. And before it was just, I met him on the morning of the surgery, which was March this year. And he just said, look, we're going to try and I said to him, look, yeah, just do whatever you can. So, like, it was incredibly invasive this time. You know, he went back in the same incision, but opened up the whole kind of back of the elbow and pulled everything apart. And it was a heck of a thing to come back from. The amount of muscle atrophy was absolutely shocking. I couldn't believe it, you know. The whole forearm and everything was gone, you know. But he took a bit off the humerus, like the upper arm bone. It took out a small ligament. Pretty much just did anything he possibly could to get range of motion in it, but I still haven't got it. I still, on the operating table, they got me to 20 degrees. So in an absolute perfect world, it was 20 degrees of full extension and 130 of flexion, which is pretty much around a normal elbow. But I can't get there
Yeah.
unless I have it stretched. Because I have little to no cartilage. So once it's coming into kind of 90 to 95 degrees, just whatever way it's working in the joint, I'm getting bone on bone. So I can only kind of get to like 95-ish, maybe 100 at an absolute stretch, when I'm trying to contract or move the elbow myself. You know what I mean? There's a huge mental block because obviously my body doesn't want to go there at all, right?
Yeah.
So it very very much impacts my training. Training biceps is incredibly hard because I'm pulling into that sticking point the whole time, and the last thing my body would want to do is pull into that. So it's really impacted my training. Actually, one of the biggest things that I'm quite proud about is because I was getting quite an imbalance in my back. Because if you can imagine thinking about any of your back movements and your elbow flexion, you're obviously going to use a lot of bicep as well, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this whole left side, it's on the left side is my bad side or whatever. It just wants to move. The whole shoulder girdle wants to move forward and back. The last thing it wants to actually still do is move at the elbow. So even pressing and stuff does not want to do it. And then, like, with the ligament removed as well, that's affected the stability at the top of the press and stuff. So really had to change my training around. But that's one of the things I'm actually really proud of, because I have a pretty balanced back from side to side now, where it was going a little bit off on me through the traps and stuff because I was moving the whole shoulder girdle rather than flexing at the elbow, you know?
Yeah. How did you figure out how to actually train in such a way that you could build up your left side, like what you said when you saw the discrepancy in your back?
Yeah. Well, it's just about the best thing I've ever done was actually start recording all my stuff, right? So I'll record every set from the back, and then I can see my, back training is all just about how the elbow is moving, what plane the elbow is moving around the torso.
Yeah,
So I would
yeah,
see the difference from side to side and how I was pulling, and I could see it in the traps and stuff, you know. So that's it, yeah. And then I just kind of all my movements are trying to limit elbow flexion as much as possible. So if I'm choosing I can't dumbbell press or barbell press because if you just think about that, think you're getting past 90 degrees. I can't do that. So everything is just I I'll use like if I have like circular press machines where I'm kind of removing the elbow flexion as much as possible. Like for example, what I really like now is the super wide hammer strength flat press because you need
yeah,
very little actual elbow flexion. So it's not a huge amount of tricep, but it's just this pulling together of the humerus or humeri, whatever you would call that. So it's not a million miles from like a fly movement, you know. But things like that, and
yeah,
just taking a wider grip on pretty much most things to limit the elbow flexion is what I have to do, you know. And then just making sure I'm pulling the
yeah,
same side to side. And then what's also tremendously helpful is using the proprioception of the right side, the good side, to almost
mm,
teach or relearn the left side. Okay, this is how you move. So I'll try and do everything bilaterally if I can. If I have the option of doing things bilaterally, I will. One of the best things I ever did, Thomas, was a thing called after the surgery, the occupational therapist set me up doing I think this is called mirror therapy. But essentially what she did was she put a mirror in between my legs. So I'd be watching the right side move in the mirror, looking into the mirror, and then it would trick my mind into thinking that I could move that left side. You know what I mean? Because it's the
okay,
mind that was stopping it. You know what I mean? They do it for people with
yeah.
phantom limb syndrome or phantom limb syndrome or whatever. I'm not probably not syndrome right that thing, but you know people that
No, that's right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it works for them, but it worked tremendously for me. From the start of the session I had with her to the end of it, I think I got like another 15 degrees of motion just using the mirror therapy, you know. But that's essentially what I'm trying to do when I'm, using the proprioception. Like, say if I'm doing bicep curls, like dumbbell bicep curls, I'm only looking at my right arm. If I can do it in the mirror, I'll do it in the mirror. So I'm looking at that right arm moving, and then that's helping me to move the left, right, to contract the left side.
Like, that's fantastic, man. That's really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
I because usually like elbow arthritis is really uncommon unless you see mine's post traumatic osteoarthritis that set it off and just kind of like a blaze of fire. But for the most part, you just see
yeah,
it like in elderly women and stuff. So I can only imagine how difficult it would be for them because it's been tremendously difficult for me to actually get the arm to move. Even just sitting here right now trying to move it, it's just no, 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 do not move. You know, because the body's saying that
yeah,
this is injured. Do not use this. You know, the funny thing actually
yeah.
is, Thomas, it's actually my better arm. I pose onto that side all the time.
And that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Do you know what I think? I think it is. It's because the actual muscularity is better in it, like in the forearm and stuff, because of that protection once again. So it's building up everything to protect around the joint. And I do a lot of kind of rehab work every day, like pronation, supination, things like that. So try and build, or develop all the musculature all the way around the joint to protect it
Yeah,
and keep as much force away from it as possible, you know?
yeah. Okay. Now, just talk us what was going on in your head now when you were told, okay, this is your issue with your elbow, and
Yeah.
you trying to get back into the gym after hearing this news, or when you were trying to train after the surgery.
Yeah.
What was going on in your head? Was there like a thing of like, this is not for me, or like a fuck it, I'm gonna keep going no matter what my
Yeah.
mind tells me?
I love when someone tells me I can't do something, right? I think it's the same with most of us, right? So, uh, surgeons like, look, you need to find another pastime and the usual stuff, right? But anytime
Yeah,
someone will say I can't do it, so okay, grant, challenge accepted, I'll do it, you know? So, I'm always, when there's a will, there's a way. And I think I got that from construction, right? From certain times, like say, like you're wheeling in or uh, pouring a concrete floor, you're wheeling barrows
yeah,
and it starts lashing down rain. And you can do one or two things. You can get frustrated and say, "Oh fuck this, I'm not," or else you can just put one foot in front of the other and put your head down and just keep on going. That's what I learned
I
very
like that.
early,
Yeah,
from construction. the guys that got frustrated, and I think that's what kind of worked. I worked particularly well, like in management and stuff. There's always a way. There's always a way. Put your head down. Put one foot in front of the other. That's all you got to do. It's a challenge of it and being able to rise to the challenge of it as well, right? As I said to you, one of the things I'm most proud of is looking at the back shots from that recent, well, a couple of recent shows I did. It's like, hey, I got pretty decent balance there considering, if you could actually, if you knew uh, the challenge of actually flexing this bloody arm, you'd be like, hey, that guy's done pretty well there. So yeah, just one foot in front of the other. I take it as a challenge, and if there is a will, you will find that way. It's
Yeah,
most people like especially like just the average lifestyle person or whatever. They'll get that and say, "Oh, great, okay, I'm out of the gym, completely finished, can't do anything," or they get like
yeah,
they get a sore knee, so they can't train their back or they can't train their chest or whatever. Just they're looking for an excuse, a way out. But I see it as the other.
exactly. Yeah,
I see it as the other way. Give me a challenge, and we'll see about that. If someone says you can't, you
yeah,
want to do more. Maybe
no, hundred
stubborn,
percent, man. No,
stubborn or stupid. I'm not sure. Both not great.
yeah. Well, well done on that, man. That's really cool. Like,
Thank you, appreciate that.
honestly, I'll probably be bold enough to say that probably 95% of people will be like, no, this is the end of it for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And that,
That that's why my if I can go out on my own terms now, I'm always afraid that I'm one injury away on that side because of the limited range of motion, right? I'm always like when I'm even like already Allen and stuff, I have to, obviously flex this elbow to try and match that side, but there's a constant tension on the tendon then, right? So I'm always in the back of my head, I'm one tricep tear or bicep tear away from it being over anyway.
yeah,
But if I can get through
yeah,
the next off season and pick my date of my last show and then be able to bow out at that at my best, I'll be more than happy. You know what I mean? To finish my
yeah,
journey with bodybuilding there, competitive, bodybuilding. And then of course I got always
yeah.
coach and stuff, but it'd be nice to be able to get there on my own terms instead of being forced out,
Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah. And do you find that you have, so once you finish your workouts and
Mm.
you're going home or on the drive home, do you find that you're getting any niggles or issues there?
Um,
Or have you learned
it,
how to just train around it now that you just don't have issues anymore?
I don't have many issues with it now. Just I get a lot of information and stuff with it, but that'll come down across the day.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. It was a lot worse after the first surgery for whatever reason. The information. But I think it's just probably just the way I train around it now. There can be a bit of pain around it and stuff, but it's not huge. I have a bit of a nerve kind of issue going around there as well because they moved the ulnar nerve. I don't have a funny bone where the funny bone is now on
Yeah.
the olecranon. They moved that to the side and
Not
stuff.
so funny anymore. Yeah.
No, it's not so funny at all. But when you hit it though, when I actually hit that nerve now, the ulnar nerve is like it's like the biggest shock you'll get ever. So even the smallest
Yeah.
little touch on it. But that kind of affects my grip and stuff a little bit because I used to use straps like pretty much at all, lifting straps, and I kind of have to go back and rely on them now a good bit more than I'd
Yeah.
like to because I just haven't got that grip strength and stuff on that side as what it was.
Yeah. But at least you've made a plan, man, and you're working around it, which is like the main thing.
Yeah,
And congrats on that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Now, how did we go from construction into coaching, and when did it happen, and what made you decide I want to do this?
So once I kind of made that move over into the project management / site manager side of it, it's kind of the same hours and stuff, but you kind of have a little bit more energy in you or whatever. And then I got onto, I wanted to just kind of document the journey at the start. Um,
Yeah.
so I set up Instagram, whatever it was, 3.5-ish years ago, whatever. And then I started seeing all these, quote unquote coaches and these young people that have never done a show or a photo shoot and talking absolute crap about training and just, completely misguiding and taking advantage of people. And that's all it is. Absolute scam artists is what I would see them as. 12, give me
Yeah.
12 weeks, you can drop 30 pounds. I don't care how you do it as long as I can get a before and after picture of you. So they're giving
Yes.
out these absolute terrible nutritional advice, just absolutely hammering people there. Do 2 hours of cardio and eat 4 Rice Krispie squares. And then,
Yeah.
that's what, this kind of shit. So I was like,
Yeah.
if they can make money doing this, I think I can make money doing it in an ethical way, you know,
Yeah.
just because they did a personal training course online or it took them a few weeks and now they're giving out this dangerous nutritional advice. It's unbelievable, and you see it all the time, particularly like when it comes to females competing, right? How many females have you come across that, they're on sub 1,000 calories, an hour, hour and a half cardio, and then they never, ever, ever want to see a gym again in their life after the prep because their hormones are absolutely
Plus,
shot to bits, like.
I was about to say their total milligrams per week is matching their calories per day. Yeah,
Yeah, and some dangerous shit like that as well. Yeah, it's
yeah,
just terrible. It's absolutely terrible to see, and that's what really got me is like someone needs to try and put out. Loads of people do, but they don't get the you know, these people are excellent marketers, right? They'll sell you, anything, right? They sand to the Arabs or whatever those kind of analogies
yes,
are, right?
yeah,
But it's just, it's completely wrong. So just, I tend to try to not look at as much content as possible and just put out what I think is right and what people should know, the truth, right? The truth is this takes a hell of a long time. Now people are getting to whatever their current body composition is, and it's taken them years and years and years to slowly get there. Say if you're overweight, you're 20 or 30 pounds overweight. Well, it's probably taken you 10 years to get there. So you're not going to fix that in 12 weeks unless you do something very extreme that's going to have a very
yeah,
extreme impact on your health and your mental health, right? Your physical and mental health,
yeah,
So it's, yeah, it takes time. It takes time, but do it as healthily as you possibly can is what I say.
yeah,
That's why
hundred
I'm
percent.
always a big proponent of the keto diet for the vast majority of people, especially lifestyle people. I have a big thing on the opportunity cost of food. And,
Yeah,
one of my things is I always go after Rice Krispie squares bars. And it's fine if you're a big male bodybuilder and you've, 4,000 calories and you're throwing in a Rice Krispie squares bar here and there. Cool. But if you're, a male or female with very limited amount of muscle, maybe you're middle aged, why the hell is there a Rice Krispie square bar in your, when it could be whatever it is? I think they're 140 calories or whatever. So, that's whatever that is, working out, say 13 or 14 grams of healthy fats. That's the
yeah,
opportunity cost there, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
And yeah, I don't understand it because like you would think if your calories are that low, you'd just want like volume of food as opposed to like
volume, but you need to look at the quality of the food. No carbohydrates equal. And then in particular, when it comes to fats and proteins, they're not equal. And if it
no,
fits your macros, is the biggest joke in the world ever. You know what I mean? It's to
yeah,
dieters, to average dieters, like realistically, the average person that comes to me, that's just trying to get a little bit healthier or whatever, their basal metabolism is very rarely above 2,000 calories. Very rarely. So
yes,
how on earth do you
yeah,
put that and then for females, it could be 1,600, because the average
yes,
female, whatever it is, 16, 1,700. But that's the average female. Where we're talking about, ladies that maybe, their basal metabolism is that high, maybe because they have like a big output, but maybe just because they have a lot of body mass as well,
yeah,
you know? And how do you put that person into a 400 or 500 calorie deficit? They're already down very close to 1,000 calories now. And yet you'll give
yeah,
them, why is there carbohydrates in that diet if they're down near 1,000 calories when they need essential proteins or, essential aminos and essential fats? It doesn't make any sense. And it's
yeah.
just, whoever is doing that or prescribing diets, they should just be absolutely shot or whatever, and shamed.
I don't even know where it originally came from, to be perfectly honest. Like I've never actually sat down and be like, shit, where did this come from? But I can tell you that
It's,
almost anybody I've seen do the it fits your macros diet never succeeds out of it. They
oh,
always
of
come out
course not.
fat. Like
Of course.
if
Of
they're like,
course.
okay, my calories per day are 2,000 calories, and they'll stick to the 2,000 calories, whether they eat 6 meals, 1 meal, piece of cake with something else.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
noticed that it never ever look good. Ever.
Yeah, because you're not addressing your 99.99% of people have an unhealthy relationship with food. And this is another thing I
Yeah.
talk about. Like, I completely understand why, people are, like, oh, you can't say that about food, or there's no bad food. Well, yes, there is bad foods, or there are bad foods. And I understand
Yeah.
why, because of obviously eating disorders and stuff, but we have to be realistic. If someone has a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction, we have no problem saying, oh, that's bad for you. You can't do that. But if someone has a food addiction or a very unhealthy relationship with food, we can't say a word, can't say a peep about it. You know,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
not PC, which is absolutely, and there's no education in schools around food, right? It should be one of the first things that kids learn, basic nutrition,
Yeah.
how many people are walking around having yourself, you go into a Lidl or an Aldi and you look into somebody's or the person in front of you, they're checking out their stuff there, and it's just
Oh,
absolute
it's just
garbage. That's
garbage,
up, and
man.
yeah, absolute
Yes, yeah,
garbage. But then the saddest thing is you see them with the kids, and then you might see like the parent is very, very overweight, and unfortunately the child is as well, and it's just like it's so unfair on the child. Like
yeah,
if you see like an obese to morbidly obese child, you know that kids are cruel as hell, and you know what you went through as a child. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that parent knows what they went through as a child and the difficulties they got through bullying and stuff, and they're just imposing that on their own children because they won't. I don't know if it's
yeah,
ignorance or whatever it is, but you know, learn about nutrition, basic nutrition. It should be taught to everybody in school.
yeah. I agree. Like, I think the best. I had Rachel on the podcast, and she went hard about this, about the whole food
Mm,
triangle bullshit.
yeah,
And one of the things is, I think parents are just. I think it's just the thing of like, I wouldn't say that they're not aware. I would. Okay, no, they probably are interested, but they're not aware of what's going on around them in terms of like, it's just like this is my comfort zone and this is my budget
yeah,
and this is all I know and this is what I'm going to work with. Instead of being like, okay, let me contact Brian and be like, look, Brian, my budget's €1,000 a month.
yeah.
What can I buy with? You know what I mean?
There's that as well, though. But Thomas, there's also this it's the marketing around food is just so deceptive. This kind
Oh
of
yeah,
absolute crap of protein on absolutely everything, regardless of where the protein's coming from, the source of the protein, if it's a complete protein,
yeah,
whatever. It's just nine grams of protein. So the hell, what if there's 9 grams of protein? What else is in that? I always say to people,
exactly.
if there's more than 5 ingredients in something, and you pick it up as more than 5 ingredients, I would put it straight back down and walk away. And if you don't know what
Yeah,
one of those ingredients are, even if it's only 3 or 4, walk away. This ultra processed food crap, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable,
I get the shits with it. Like I may butcher the brand here, but
Mm.
people will fall for like the Mars bar plus protein. So now all of a sudden they
Yeah,
think, okay,
yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Healthy Mars bar.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh man, it's
Yeah.
just but Lidl and Aldi, they're all the same, this protein yogurt with this, and it's so deceptive and wrong. I don't know how it's allowed, you know. It's just shocking stuff.
When did society get around the whole fact that protein is like the
I
word for like controlling weight?
Well, I see now that there's creatine going into bars and stuff now. I was only in Tesco the other day and I saw my brother said it to me about creatine
Oh,
in the
right.
bars. Yeah, yeah, you're getting protein and creatine bars now. So
Oh, wow.
that's
Okay.
that's the new thing. It's just I don't know. It seems like of course there is like standards or there are standards, but it just seems like they're so lax that you can just claim
Yeah,
absolutely anything. And even if there is 9 grams of protein in a bar, what the hell is that going to do for you? You know what I mean?
exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, wild stuff. Well, absolutely wild stuff. And then if you look at the ingredients, maybe say 5 or 6 are coming from whey or whatever, the actual complete source. The rest of it's just
Yeah.
just there from trace from the other ingredients and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I remember reading years ago that you just have to reach a certain percentage for whatever product you're putting out there.
Mm.
If you in that percentage range, you can classify whatever you want, or you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's where they're just sneaking in there with little bits and stuff. But yeah, there's just so much deception with the marketing, with the food, and with the coaching and everything. So if only uh people like us had a bigger voice, a bigger audience to just say, look, this is absolute crap. Please do not believe this. But it's so much easier to sell the idea of, hey, you can have 2 protein bars a day, you can have a Rice Krispies bar, and all you need is a calorie deficit to lose weight. That's what I hear all
Yeah.
the time, and there's no bad foods. Absolute lies and crap just to deceive vulnerable people. Someone's coming and they're looking for the answers. They're looking for the easy way, the tasty way. Who do you think they're going to go with? It's
Yeah, of
just,
course.
yeah, it's just absolute.
Yeah.
It's terrible,
Yeah.
terrible to see. Anybody in any kind of fashion being taken advantage of. I hate seeing, but it's just absolutely rife in this kind of health and coaching
Oh
kind of
yeah.
world
It,
we're in.
yeah. Look, I've had a lot of clients come to me, and it's it's at the end it's kind of cool, but at the beginning it's annoying because I've got to spend like almost 16 weeks of like trying to get their health back to normal before we
Yeah,
can actually start working together as a, you know what I mean, into like an off season or something of the sort.
yeah. It's always the way. It's always instant gratification. And then what can I take? How many bloody questions do I, I put up a question box. I don't get that many questions a day, but so many, the vast majority are this peptide, that peptide. What do I need to take to
This
get
is why
there
I've stopped doing
quicker?
it,
Yeah,
because somebody will be like, you know
it's
what I
just
mean? Like,
crap. Yeah. All these
like
peptides,
how
all
many
that.
milligrams a week do I need to look like this person? I'm like, what the fuck?
You'll never, with that question and that mindset, you'll never ever look like that
Yeah,
person. And of course, that person's genetics are wildly different than yours. But yeah,
exactly.
with that mindset to constantly shortcut, 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 you could, yeah, like
Mm,
for me, like I'm an inquisitive mind. Like I'll research and I'll listen to all the podcasts and everything like that. And but I'm an inquisitive mind, not just a lazy mind that wants to get there.
yeah,
You're either lazy or you're interested in the actual knowledge. I think
yeah,
the vast, vast, vast majority. Like if you tell somebody that if they want to look, half as good or whatever you want to say as Chris Bumstead, it's going to take you 12 years. Or you can take this big laundry list of stuff here and we'll get you there in 2 years. What way did they go? Right?
the 2 year one easily.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, all these peptides and all this. We know what works, throw the rest in the bin. And then you see, like, the worst thing is when you see coaches and, their little plans or whatever, and there's 5 or 6 different peptides, might be a couple of SARMs in there. Then there's all these, way over the top kind of health supplements and everything. And then they say, oh, by the way, you can use my code to get 10% off.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah,
It's unbelievable. But the poor vulnerable person is going, that's the secret. That's what I don't know. I haven't been using, whatever it is, my SLU PP32 or whatever the heck, or I haven't
yeah,
been using all my mitochondrial stuff. That's the difference.
yeah,
Physiques have not improved in the last 2-3 years since they've become absolutely rife. Um, you know what I mean? It's just it's just shocking. Poor vulnerable people are getting taken advantage of the whole bloody time. Like when I give out like a supplement plan, it's just basic supplements, and I give them a link to Ostrovit. Ostrovit's the cheapest by far. It's twice as cheap as
yeah,
anything, but they're just omega trees, good quality omega trees. Vitamin D, bit of a multivitamin. Just it's a few euro just to cover your bases, but all proven stuff, right? Creatine, things like that. But
yeah,
cheap as chips. I want to. You're paying enough for your coaching and your good quality food. I'm not going to give you a stupid unnecessary amount of supplements. If something comes up in blood work and we're like, okay, let's put this supplement in,
yeah, yeah,
okay, cholesterol's a little bit out. I think everybody should be using like citrus bergamot and stuff. But anyway, things like that, then we can put it in. But otherwise, if we have no need for it, why the hell are we putting it in there for an affiliate code for money back to that
of
code?
course,
You know,
exactly. Yeah. No, I
unbelievable.
agree with you 100% there. Like,
Yeah,
I've actually done a video. It's actually one of my posts for this week. I was just working on my content earlier
yeah.
about having a whole cupboard full of supplements. You don't even know what half of them are.
Yeah, but even you see with all the like Strom supplements and stuff are great. Strom, I think, trained by JP, supplement needs all super supplements, absolutely. But do you need everything that's in them? Like, is your
No, you don't.
blood work telling you that you need? Are your kidney markers out? Are your liver markers out? If you don't need them, why the hell are
Exactly.
you using them?
Yeah.
No.
I had to also explain to a person that had just joined me that because they were like on this thing of like they want like whey protein because it's the cleanest and purest form of protein
Mm,
and blah blah blah. And so when I said to them, no, you look, if you want it, I'll put it there for sure, but you're not having it
mm,
at every meal. That you can get
yeah,
that idea out of your head. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
I explained to them that I've actually got a pro athlete that doesn't even eat whey protein whatsoever. Like
yeah.
she wants all her meals, all meals, and look, I mean, she's staying on the pro stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
absolutely. Everything's gone downhill though. Even looking at just your standard way with all this performance stuff, and somebody's
Mm.
somebody hasn't got a whole lot of willpower or whatever, or maybe not the right term, but like when they're saying, "Oh, I don't like the flavor of that. The flavor of that's awful," and then
Yeah.
like when maybe 10 years ago or something, your standard whey concentrate was like 78 grams of protein. Now it's down to 70. What's those extra
Yes.
8 grams? Where have they gone? They're all gone to bloody flavorings. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what I always say to people. Look at the protein content. If it's low, it's just full of crap. It's full of absolute crap. And you're having that 2 or 3 times a day, and you're wondering why you have a bit of an upset dicky tummy, or you're you know what I mean? Things like that. It's just yeah, just not
Plus,
necessary.
it's yeah. Plus, it's hard too because a lot of brands are following that trend. So
Oh, they
if
have
brand
to,
A
yeah.
decided now they're bringing their protein content down,
Yeah,
brand B
for
is
the
like, well, they
flavor.
get away with it, so can we. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember I used to buy the cheapest chips, the unflavored whey protein from My Protein. It was great old stuff. I think
Yeah.
that was like 80 grams or whatever for the concentrate, but they've gone through the roof now with prices and stuff as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's everything's going downhill. It's like the uh, right across, as you said, they all just follow each other. Once one of them steps out and they have this lovely, tasty protein, they all have to go and chase that same thing, right?
Correct. Yeah. And nobody's reading labels anymore. That's the other thing too. It's just like,
Oh yeah,
oh,
yeah,
cool, this new,
yeah.
I don't know what you want to call it, a gingerbread carrot cake flavor. Just grab it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
wild
Yeah.
flavors. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
then you're mixing that with your cream of rice. That's this wild flavor as well. And the difference in them is
Yes.
shocking as well. There's 7 or 8 grams of carbs difference in the per 100 of them as well. And you go to
Yeah.
like a Perform or one of these other more popular brands now.
Yeah. I used to use, well, back in South Africa, I'll see if I can do it here, is we used to get
Mhm.
like rice flour. So it was like,
Oh
just
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much just
yeah,
rice grinded down.
yeah. You
It's
can.
like,
You get like 2 or 3 euro a kilo here. Yeah,
yeah, see, look at that. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Put a load of
and then I would
cinnamon
just
into
use
it.
that.
A load of cinnamon into it, and you'll be fine.
That's it. Yeah. Instead of buying some expensive name brand now that is like 3 times the price
Yeah,
with half the quality in it. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then, okay. So now, once you decide that you're going to, like, this is going to be your last year, right? Or next year's going to be your last year.
Yeah, one more off season, so like compete in the
Okay.
27 is the plan.
Okay. Cool. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. And then what's your goals for yourself after that? Like, I know you're going to continue with the coaching full time, but
Yeah.
how are you going to navigate the strictness of
Downsizing.
coaching? Yes.
The downsizing part, I don't think I'll have much of a problem with it. I'll just go with do what every bodybuilder does. They switch from kind of pushing your health that good bit to going to how long can I live for? Becoming a bit of a
Yeah.
more of a biohacker or whatever, and how long can I live for? Getting down to a weight that I think if I sit somewhere in the 90s, my body will just be happy enough there, and I'll be fairly lean and stuff in there, and
Yeah.
yeah, just becoming healthy and maybe taking back some of the years that I've lost because of being too obsessive with bodybuilding and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so easy to do, become so obsessive with it, and you lose that perspective as well. But yeah, another thing I've been thinking about, I know this is deep thinking, but I was talking to my friend Paul about it as well. It's like, are you getting back more from bodybuilding that you're putting in? You know? And for me, I'm right at that tipping point right now, because up until this point, yes, like it's given me obviously the chance to be able to kind of coach, do something I love, help people. It's more the helping people that I really love to do. The coaching is just my way of being able to do that, right? To help people on the journey that I kind of messed up and kind of did everything wrong on, and eventually got it right at the end. So,
Yeah.
it's brought that into my life, being able to do that step away from construction, which was, making another man richer at the end of the day, always. I used to hate the idea of that. It's brought amazing people into my life, my circle now and everything. Up until now, absolutely, it's been worth it. But now I'm at that balancing point. Like even after the last show here, which was start of December, even now, I just don't have that fire to competitively bodybuild, because I know no matter what I do, I can have the best off season of all time. The only thing that I can do is come back, if everything's perfect, maybe 3 or 4 kilograms heavier on stage in better condition. And that's all I can do now. That's my time frame. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like my big thing is next year, if I can give a good push for an overall in a PCA, I'd be happy as anything. Obviously bring my best, but that's my limit. There's no point in me doing
Yeah.
anything, NPC shows or anything, I just be, to get to NPC kind of level, super heavyweight, I'd need to be like, say, another 10, definitely at least 10 kilos heavier to be in any way competitive in any super heavyweight lineup. You know what I mean?
Wait, what's your height?
Probably a legitimate 6 foot. I know everybody thinks they're 6 foot, but I think I'm probably just 6 foot or just a little touch over.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Okay.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think my last show was probably 106, 107 or something on stage, something like that.
Shit.
So I'd need to be like, realistically, I'd have to be with my structure, a big old tree trunk for a waist and not particularly wide clavicles. So I need to, I'd need to be at least 115 inside out, I think,
Yeah.
to be in any way competitive, even in a weak NPC lineup.
Yeah.
And that's just now that's years off my life. That means going to 130 plus off season, which I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's heart can deal with that, right? There's just so much muscle and it's such a big body to be pumping blood around
Yeah.
each and every day.
The highest I've pushed is 116. That's 260, I think, 260, somewhere around there.
Yeah, something like
And
that. Yeah,
yeah, and
my
even though I was pretty lean at that weight,
yeah.
I'm 5'5", eh?
Oh wow,
Man, I felt
that's a hell of a big unit at
shit.
5'5".
Yeah, I felt like shit, man. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
just couldn't function. There was still cardio there, but I
yeah,
still couldn't function as a normal human being, tying laces, putting on
yeah.
clothes,
See,
you know.
that'd be equivalent to me being like 140 again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
like last year worked a lot better for me just staying leaner because my skin isn't particularly great, and obviously being
yeah.
obese, I have a lot of loose skin, and I just pushed it all out. 2 years ago, went to the kind of old school
No way.
heavy bulk. I went to I think my top weight that 2 years ago was like 128 or something, but obviously with that little bit less muscle and stuff. But I just got way too fat and just pushed the skin out again, and it's never come back. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
but you barely even see it in your videos and stuff.
you'll see it mostly on my glutes, and my glutes are a little under par anyway. My legs are where they need to come in.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've made the balance a lot better, but it's where I need to continue to put the emphasis. But instead of like pulling my
Um,
hip through, to obviously to show the glutes best I can, I have to push back into it
Reach
to
out.
try it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll see it on some of the shots. Obviously, they're like selective shots that I put up there, but you'll see it on certain ones. If
yeah,
you go to my last show, the Portugal one, you'll see it because I had to wear those bloody old. It was one of those old IFBB shows, so you had to wear the
yeah,
bigger trunks, and that was pushing the skin down on me. But
yeah. And this was post-op, right? This one here.
yes, yeah, that was PCA
Ah,
just gone here
yeah,
in November. This is my best to that point. I was better in Portugal though. A few weeks later, I was tighter. I was a little bit. I could have been a lot better from the back here, as in
yeah.
condition wise. But it was
This one
the
here.
kind of yeah, yeah. You'll see if you go on a few shots there on my back shots, you'll see the loose skin on the glutes. It's not too bad on my midsection because I kept it tight this year. You see it
Yeah,
there. You can see it there on that one. Like this, is the guy that won it. He won his pro card the following week. You see it there, yeah.
yeah.
Or once I'm
Okay.
moving, you can see it. But that's
Yeah,
why big emphasis on them this year, bringing up the glutes that little bit.
yeah,
The upper body's always been pretty good for me, so it'll just keep on growing. But really, what everybody can use more hamstring, more glutes. That was just the day before, so a little bit on the flatter side there as it goes after 4 or 5 meals the day before. But definitely more legs is always for me. The rest will come.
yeah. But fantastic conditioning, man. Flip.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. That was for Portugal. If I could have brought that to PCA, I would have been pretty happy. Um,
Yeah,
that's PCA there. Like,
yeah,
probably just started, another 3 or 4 weeks of starting the diet a little bit earlier.
yeah,
But anyway, it was a lot considerably better. I'm getting a good shot better each and every time. That's all we can do, right? So,
yeah.
and
All right.
when I'm looking back, then I'm bringing up those relative weaknesses as well. So they're moving in the right direction. Just as I said, that little bit more emphasis on the backside this year.
Yeah. No, it'll be cool to see your next show, man. It'll be really cool.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah,
Hopefully,
I
yeah,
actually, I'm actually really liking the idea of the retirement kind of uh, idea now. Like being able to pick one
yeah,
show and saying that's my last one, and I'm taking the trunks off and they're never going back on. And I really like that because
yeah.
then because I can just live my life. Then there's no it's
It's
taking the
funny.
pressure off me to make that decision. Being the decisions made for me. I can't like I think probably in another 2 years I'll have to get another surgery on the elbow, the same one again, just cleaning out the elbow and everything.
Yeah,
So that's yeah. But if I ever have to actually get the joint replaced, I'm completely finished because an elbow replacement can only handle like 2 to 3 kg of load through it
yeah,
because you're
yeah,
attaching onto like the much weaker radius and ulna. so they won't take any
Yeah.
pressure at all. Like, as like a knee replacement, be absolutely fine. You'd be cool, good to go. You could squat and everything again. But once you get the elbow replaced, you're kind of you're done for, you know.
So that's crazy, man. Yeah. It's funny you mentioning about the retiring from stage kind of thing, because like the
Mm,
idea has also been floating in my head. Like
really,
I
yeah.
think it started last year.
Yeah. Well, if you think about that though, like, are you getting more from it now than you're putting in? As I said, my friend Paul said to me, Paul Morgan, and it stuck with me, you know. And for me, no, I won't anything beyond this last little run here, because of course, like, it helps, like, with promotion of the coaching and everything. If I'm walking the walk as well, I'm not just telling somebody
Yeah.
to this or that. And obviously, it's great education for me as well to see how my body responds to different things and stuff as well. But um, beyond that, it won't give me anything more, you know. And that's where
Yeah.
I'm struggling with the motivation now to do it, because is it really? Do I have, essentially 15 months to push into this now? Does that make sense for me? It's borderline. It's absolutely borderline, because you know yourself, man. It takes so much out of you, your relationships, everything like that. No matter, you can be the most level-headed person in the world, you're going to become a bit of an ass when you're
Oh
prepping,
no.
even if you
Yeah.
know it or not, right? I think
Yeah.
it's come down to the science of the oxytocin, right? Your oxytocin gets significantly suppressed when you're down at that low body fat level.
Yeah.
So it's hard to bond. It's very, very hard to bond with people and have that
Yeah.
empathy. And that's kind of scary, actually. I kind of noticed that, Thomas. Where I really noticed it is my godson there was born. I think it was, like, say, 7 weeks out from the PCA, and of course, like, when I held him first, it's just complete love, right? But it wasn't like what it should have been. And I noted that, and I was like, that's not right what it should, because obviously when my niece, when I held her, it was different, and that was just like, that's not good, and I'm like, anybody who knows me knows, like, I'm a super kind of level-headed kind of guy, and it's like, that's not good,
Yeah. Yeah.
a little bit scary.
Yeah. Also, if you had asked, I wouldn't be able to remember much detail of a lot of my preps. Hey, I'll be honest with you. Like it was just like
Mm.
this machine, go, go, go.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
absorb nothing, just get the job done.
It's fascinating,
Mm,
isn't it, how that kind of works and how productive you become on prep and stuff, I think it's because you become, like,
yeah.
super task orientated. Your body's kind of aware, your subconscious is aware. Okay, energy is very limited now. We need to tick boxes. So it's like, okay, workout, check-ins, this, doom, tick, 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 tick. And you don't have any time for anything else. So it won't put anything to, it's pulling stuff from your emotional capacity and everything like that. You just become so robotic. And to fit those things
Yeah.
all in a day, I have whatever it is, 40 minutes, an hour cardio, has to be ticked. Have to do my posing. Have to do this. Yeah, you just become so robotic. It's crazy. And then the things of, like, waking up and then you're bolt awake. You can't sleep. I think that's like your body just saying, okay, go. You're absolutely starving. Go get food now with the last energy reserve we have. Things like that. It's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah. And what do you normally do during that time? Let's just say you wake up like early hours of the morning. Are you able to
Yeah.
go back to sleep, or
Oh,
do you
God,
just
no.
start your day?
Oh, I start my day up and we go. Yeah.
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 You're not going to go
Same
back to
here. Yeah.
sleep. You're not going to go back to sleep. You're just going to waste your time and torment yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
Exactly. Yeah.
sleep's so psychological as well, though. Like, if you have, like, 1 or 2 bad nights of sleep, it's all you're thinking about. I'm not going to get a good sleep tonight. And, you can
Yeah.
take whatever supplement or whatever you want. Some of them help a little bit, but for the most part, once it's in your head, you are absolutely cooked. Once
Yeah.
that sets in.
Yeah.
I was lucky to probably to the last few weeks, it didn't affect me much at all. Once it did, it was good luck. So uh, between the PCA and the Portugal show was, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks, and the sleep was just goose, like,
Yeah.
it makes a hell of a difference, though, such a difference. Because I think my biggest thing is, like, if I can hold my training, and for everybody, if you can hold your training performance, obviously you're not losing 1 ounce of muscle, right? And if you can continue to progress there, but if that takes any sort of a hit, so if your sleep's that little bit off, recovery's a little bit down, you're not going to bring a great luck.
Yes. That's true.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
what you would have wanted anyway.
But I've always had shit sleep though. Like whether it's off
Really?
season or contest prep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've always had like the most I can possibly do is 5 hours a night.
Oh, really? Wow.
And like, yeah, but it seems to be enough for me to function. Like I don't get
Yeah.
drowsy in the day or feel like I need a nap or anything of the sort.
Yeah. No, usually around 6. If I can get 6, I'm a happy camper. That'll
Yeah.
do me. But that's just, I think, Yeah, some people are just like that, right? Some people are just absolute mattresses and they sleep all day, you know, half man,
I
half mattress.
know.
Yeah, some people are
I envy
unbelievable.
them.
Yeah, I
I
see
know.
it on some of the check-ins because obviously like sleep is a little thing we track or whatever. And you're seeing like, my sleep wasn't great this week and the average is like 8.5 hours or something like, you know what I mean?
Exactly
What do you
right.
mean your sleep wasn't great? Oh, and then
Yeah,
that is another thing. Oh, I didn't have enough time to do my cardio. Well, if you didn't sleep for 8.5 hours, you would have plenty of time to
exactly.
do your cardio, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then what's your take on like cardio? Well, actually, while that you brought it up, like,
Yeah.
do you think it's something so one should keep all year round, or
Yeah.
like okay, okay, yeah,
I think like if you're very sedentary, I would put like a step count in, but otherwise I'm pretty
yeah,
much against steps. I'd rather, I think in the off season cardio, say even 2 or 3 times a week for the actual cardiovascular strength and conditioning side of it, give it a good burst, get onto a bike, whatever it is, give it a good burst for 10 or 15 minutes. And that will hugely help with your training performance, right? Because you're actually pushing your heart rate. I think that's
yeah,
all 10 or 15 minutes, but when you're like trying to come into a prep or something, I have no idea why people still have like half an hour of cardio in a day in the off season and stuff. It doesn't make any sense. You know,
yeah,
remove it, get it as low down as you possibly can because now you have somewhere to go with it. Like if you start prep with like, 20 minutes or 30 minutes every day, like where do you go with it? You know, you're
yeah,
going to have to be going
yeah.
up
That's
over
true.
over an hour. Like, I've done it before. It was 2 years ago, I was doing 2 hours a day and, an hour in the morning, an hour at night, and it just flattens you and your training goes to absolute crap, like, you know? So I think the best is like, especially in a prep scenario, why not just train, put another a training session in or train 15 minutes longer, kind of extend your training sessions and keep your intensity through the roof with your training and
Yeah,
take that from the cardio time. It's a much,
yeah,
much more productive and way of kind of a calorie expenditure, right?
yeah. No, I agree with you. I generally do like to keep cardio in the off season. No, not crazy amounts though, but
Mm.
just to keep cardiovascular health going. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just for my. Obviously, it varies from client to client. I'm just talking about in general now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm doing for client A is not going to be for client B, but I do tend to like just keep a little bit just for their like cardiovascular health, not like for
Absolutely.
keeping body fat down or
Oh
all
no,
that kind of stuff. It's just like
we're in a surplus,
just
right? We don't
function
want
like
to
a
be.
normal human being. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it really does play over into your training though as well. If you have that cardiovascular, a relative bit of
Yes.
cardiovascular fitness, especially if you're pushing body weight, like we've all been there
Yes.
before, where you're getting lower back pumps, and you can as soon as you pick up a T-bar row or something, and that's not good. There's definitely something wrong there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's definitely
Or
something
end
you're
up
pushing
sitting
food
longer
weight.
between sets because you're still trying to get your breath back.
Yeah, all this kind of crap. I think one of the places where a lot of people go wrong is just trying to push body weight up so quickly.
Yeah.
What can it be? Only body fat and water. You know what I mean? And that's going
True.
to lead into these lower back pumps and high blood pressure, all this kind of crap. Like how much weight muscle can we put on? I actually heard about Nick Walker, his number the other day, and it's what was it? It was 70 pounds in 5 years, and this is the man that is known and is called the mutant.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a low battery here coming up. But so if you look at that, like it's like 5 kilos a year. So a week it's like 90 grams. And this is the most extreme, transformation of all time. Or one of them anyway.
Yeah.
So if we can put 90 grams on it, how much weight do we need going up in a month? That's 360 grams in a month. So less than half a kilo a month is actual muscle.
Yeah.
And that's at his rate
Yeah.
of growth. You know what I mean? So like the average person is maybe
Yeah.
200 grams of muscle. And yet their
Yeah.
body weight's shooting up 2, 3 kilos a month.
Yeah. I've done 13 kilograms in a year,
Yeah, 13.
but
I think that's like realistically, like that's what I'm kind of aiming for, maybe like a kilo a month on average, something
yeah.
around that. I think that's fine. But
No, no, I'm
13
talking
kilos
about
of muscle is
actual
wild.
muscle. I jumped. No,
That's
I did,
wild.
but I'll explain the situation because people will be like, wow, I can do it too. What had happened was I was a novice. Okay. I did my first show,
Yeah.
right? Obviously went into the show blindly. Obviously didn't have the best knowledge in terms of nutrition and cardio and everything like that there. So I hired a coach immediately after that show.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. And that's where the massive changes came I had structured training now, structured eating plan, that kind of thing. And that I think that's where the big change. But remember, I was also still in my newbie gains phase as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive, man. That's 13 kilos is absolutely wild.
Obviously, I've never been able to mimic that ever since then. But yes,
No, you'd be on the Olympia stage by now. It'd be
yeah,
absolute.
exactly.
You'd be big Ramy size or something by now if you could. Can you hear me
Mm.
okay now?
We'll finish up just now. It's okay. I'll edit it where the sound sounds weird.
Okay.
Oh no, that sounds fine now. That sounds fine.
Okay.
Okay, just a few more questions and then we'll go. Oh, okay. Now we'll just do some rapid fire questions.
Yeah, go for it.
Goals in the next 5 years.
Continue to grow my coaching business to a point that I'm kind of very comfortable with it, and then kind of probably try and expand it to some sort of. I'd always love like a gym of my own, something like that would be pretty cool. But yeah, just continue to grow the coaching. Really, yeah. I you see, I'm not too. For me, it's not much. I think my little niche has become kind of not competitors. So that'll always be kind of small. It's pretty much dominated by say two or three very good coaches in Ireland. So I think it doesn't make a whole
Yeah,
lot of sense for me to push much for that. If there's a few people that want to come on, they want to prep with me, it's cool. But I know I'll never bring that to such a high level within Ireland because it's dominated by those two or three very good coaches. So
yeah,
continue with the lifestyle. I love helping the ordinary person, for want of a much better term there. But to be able to help somebody on a similar journey to what I had is tremendously fulfilling. For them to come back with things like, I'm feeling so much better, so much lighter, and then to see like that in their blood work and their health and everything is tremendously fulfilling.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Any advice to newcomers in the gym?
Training is tremendously important. Of course, diet is the chicken before the egg. Unless your diet's right, you're not going to move anywhere. So
Mm.
try and get consistency with diet, but never just follow a plan. Understand why you're doing every single exercise you're doing. It's a skill. Training is a skill. Your effort level might be the same from person A to B, but the more skillful trainer who understands what they're doing, who's actually contracting the target muscle that they're intended to, will make a huge, huge, much more amount of progress than the other person. Every good bodybuilder, amateur or pro that I've ever talked to, they all say the exact same thing. And it's usually injury that forces them into it to really start to hone in on the quality of their training. But that's what they all say. It's a muscle connection. It's when I started to do this, that's when it all clicked. So yeah, training is tremendously important. But nutrition's always number one.
Yeah. Just a quick one on that muscle connection thing. Before I learned about well, I found that ever since I learned about muscle connection years ago,
Mm.
I found that my muscles tended to have rounder muscle bellies as opposed to just lifting shit.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Well,
having,
I think that's probably going to come the more developed you get anyway, right? So, it's going to grow
yes.
it's going to get there eventually once you have more actual volume in the muscle. But absolutely, we were actually using uh, recruiting a lot more of the actual muscle, actually firing more fibers, everything like that. It's going to grow much better, right? Like the
Yeah.
majority of people are just going in there, they're fighting against the weights and their training's
Yeah.
just full of stretch reflex. There's no control of negatives. They're
Yeah.
just hammering the joints out of themselves. We all did it when we were younger. It's all ego lifting, and women do it, men do it,
Yeah.
elderly men do it. Everybody does it. But if I could have got a hold of myself, what the usual thing, what I know now about training at the start, you'd be so much further forward. So yeah,
Yeah.
get yourself a coach or a personal trainer or something. It will skip you years of trial and error crap.
Yeah. 100%. Favorite meal in your diet right now?
It's got to be Irish boy, country boy. So it's got to be my potatoes, my my beef mince. I'm a fiend for green beans now and carrots. That mix there for the last 2 years
That's,
is boring as hell.
that's
And
disgusting.
potatoes. That's all it is. I make some chips out of it. My
Yeah.
meal for
Yeah.
life.
I agree with all of that except the green beans. I can't do the green beans, man.
I used to hate them as well, but when you're dieting hard and everything becomes absolutely delicious. I just got this, it's the texture of them or whatever it is now. I'm just absolutely a fiend for them. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Every meal I have them.
Okay. So I presume then your favorite choice of carb will be potatoes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Favorite
Well, yeah.
source of protein?
Uh, well, if we can slip in beef mince and I push that towards burgers, I'm a big man for burgers. Burgers
Ah,
are a
me
steak.
too.
Yeah, burgers are a steak, and I'm a happy camper.
Awesome. Okay. All right. And let me check what the last question is. If you had to pick one place to have your cheat meal for the rest of your life, where would it be?
One plate,
Yes.
or like as in,
Yeah. So you can't do McDonald's this month, KFC next month, and
yeah.
Papa Joe's a month. You got to pick one for the rest of your life.
Oh, there was this place I went to in doing did smash burgers over in Glasgow. Absolutely exceptional. I think it was bread meets bread. I think it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I've never had a burger like it before. So I go there. I move over to Glasgow and just go into there every day.
All right. Okay. I was about to ask you about. I saw that in your thing, and I was like, I meant to ask you about that because it looked really, really good.
Yeah. Oh, that's the WTF burgers. That's down local here in Rotode. That's incredible.
Okay.
If you get a chance to go there, it's really, really good. The cookie
Okay.
thing at the end, unbelievable. Yeah, it's like a cookie comes out in this big skillet thing with 2 lumps of ice cream on top of it, but the burgers and everything, incredible. Yeah, really good place.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sounds good.
I saw it on TikTok, and I was like, I have to go here. So I always, my little nightly walk always takes me by it. And I said I have to go in there someday.
Yeah.
So, I've been twice now in the last whatever it is, couple of weeks over Christmas. So yeah, very good. Definitely highly recommend.
No, we'll definitely pop in there sometime. Okay. All right. A favorite exercise of all time.
Oh, well, I love back training is probably always my favorite. So I love a good T-bar row. T-bar row is just
Okay.
it's just such a raw movement, animal power, and for me it's the ultimate back movement, right? Because we're recruiting everything, the whole posterior chain. So yeah, you've got the stabilization, the hamstrings, the glutes, and then the entirety of the back, the erectors, obviously the lats, everything's working. So T-bar row.
Nice. Okay. All right. Any advice or last words you want to, or shout outs to anyone that you want to give out there?
Any advice would be the biggest advice I would say is be a critical thinker. Don't just follow. I don't know anything. Thomas, you don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. So just have your own opinion on something. Don't just follow John Jewett and do exactly what everything he does, or a train by
Yeah.
JP and do what everything he does. Be a critical thinker. Take from every person and see what works for you, but educate yourself. Get yourself a nutrition book. Get yourself with training, get yourself a muscular anatomy poster, front and back, and then look at it. You're going to train back today. Look at the fiber orientation. Look at the muscles. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. Just keep on educating yourself. Every day is a school day, and yeah, just be a critical thinker. Think for yourself. Don't just follow something. If you have a coach and they say, "Here's your list of supplements slash peptides," ask them what every single one is, go do your own research, and does that make any sense? Because so many times you see it, especially now going back to the peptides, and everybody's using the SLU, everything like this. Why are you using it? And
Mm.
how on earth did we ever get in shape 3 or 4 years
Right.
ago? It's as close as
Yes.
that when these things weren't out. How?
Yeah.
So yeah, don't believe every kind of bit of crap you're told,
Yeah. 100%, man.
Yeah, that would be the biggest one. And then always,
Okay.
you know, don't limit yourself either. There's very little limits to kind of physique development. The biggest ones are structural, right? Your bone structure. So don't just think or limit yourself in the classic one. If I took what he took or she took, that will never ever get you anywhere. Okay.
I wish people would stop that though, eh?
Oh man, it's all the time, right? The questions is always,
Mm.
it's the easiest excuse in the book. If I did this, I'd look like you. Or or you go into a bar or something and some fella comes up, my mate used to look like you. No, he didn't. I'm not a great bodybuilder. I guarantee your mate never looked like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you used to look like me, and then this crap happened. So
Yeah.
less excuses. When there's a will, there's a way, and stop limiting your beliefs.
Fantastic, man. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you.